profit is not cash. Many businesses collapse, not from losses, but from poor cash flow.
Welcome to another day of growth with Moses.
The other critical conversation that you should have as a founder, as a business owner, conversation on the state of your cash flows, understanding your financial heartbeat. You see, profit is not cash. Many businesses collapse, not from losses, but from poor cash flow. I mean, one of the most frustrating experiences or stages in business is when you run a business and you've invested heavily, but for some reason, when it comes to cash flows, you are When it comes to cash flows, you are limping. When it comes to cash flows, you are guessing. When it comes to cash flows, for some reason, the money is not there. You know, the difference between someone starting and someone who started a little bit later is that the people who started about 5 years ago, in those 5 years, they are somewhere. They are somewhere in terms of clients. They are somewhere in terms of the team. They are somewhere in terms of the overheads. They are somewhere in terms of reputation. They are somewhere in terms of responsibility. Once you hit that realization that the business is running and you have all these responsibilities, these overheads, these so many things, but the cash is actually not there. That for you to facilitate the flow of your business, you have to be looking at side income. You have to be looking at alternative sources of income. You have to get in debt to do the things that, to fund the business. It's just a frustrating point. One of the common mistakes that people do in the greatest part of their business is when they do not think about the cash flows, when they live one day at a time, when they run a business in a state of they're not aware of what is actually going on. When it comes to the most vital conversations that you should have as a business owner, you need to have a conversation on the state of your cash flows, on the state of your day-to-day money, on the state of the cash present at hand, not the investment that you've made in property and stuff like that, but the cash at hand. And there are basically a few critical questions that you might need to consider. One of them is, do I have a clear picture of our current cash flow? If someone randomly asked you, how much money do you make in a month? Do you have the answer offhand? When you look at the amount that you make, when you look at the amount of your cash flow presently, the amount of your cash flow currently, the biggest question is it enough? Is it sustainable? Is it enough to sustain you to run the business present where you are? Second question you might consider, second guiding question is, are we consistently running out of cash or building reserves? Yes, the business might be operating, might be running, and then there is this thing that says that leadership is a lonely path, and you are battling with your struggles privately, secretly, silently, and things get like every single day you're getting bad, but you're not saying a thing. Every single day you're dwindling. Every single day you're getting down. Every single day you're going down, but you can't even share that because you run the business, because you're the founder of the business, and you are a bit trapped in a particular situation, but things are bad. So the question is, are we consistently running out of cash, or we are building reserves? That is another question to answer. If you know that you're consistently running out of cash and business is in survival mode, you're surviving as a result of alternative sources of income, you're surviving as a result of your other investments, that alone is critically important. That information is very, very important. You need to rethink what is wrong. Why are you running an entity that cannot self-sustain itself? So all you have to do, one of the conversations you should be having as a founder of a business, as a business owner, is the conversation on the state of your cash flows. Get these questions down, jot down the answers, and think through what are the potential solutions, what are the possible solutions to this. The third key question that you need to consider under here is, what are our biggest recurring expenses, and are they justified? So The reason why we are encouraged so much to step out and take a bird's eye view and look at the entire thing is you need to look at what are the recurring expenses that you keep having, and then ask yourself, are they justified? I've seen people who have been struggling in business for a long while, and basically the move to reduce the team, the move to shift to a smaller office space was the only move that was required for stability and sanity to be restored back into the entity. When it comes to this conversation, it is critically very, very important. The other guiding question you need to consider is, how quickly are we paid versus how quickly do we pay others? Many times businesses that are having a hard time in their cash flows, it always zeroes down to how quickly they are paid. There are companies that have a story that when you look at the monies that they're supposed to collect, the monies are high. When you look at the money they're expecting, the sum is a little bit high. But when you look at the fact that when you look at the daily operations, there's a little bit of financial stress, not because actually the company is broke, but because for some reason they've delivered on so many projects and these projects have not been paid. Invoices have not been cleared. There is no person following up to be paid. Guiding question, the other guiding question that you need to consider is that how quickly are we paid versus how quickly do we pay others? If you do this analysis, if you try to respond to that question and come to an understanding that there's been a lot of delayed payments and it's affecting us in a way, it is time for you to get bold enough and begin to demand. It is time to have stakeholder engagements with your with your existing clients, with your existing debtors, and ask them, have a conversation with them. Tell them that, we are doing a service with you, we are doing all this, but what does it take for us to be paid on time? It is high time for you to begin thinking, because for any delayed payments, every person who is expecting a payment from you or from your company is going to be frustrated. You get the science behind a company is that the company is basically a composition, a body of people who work together, they secure money and then they share it together. Now, when you end up in a situation whereby you have these particular clients, 1, 2, 3, top 3 clients that make your business survive and they're not paying, and that is the frustration that is just going to pour from the top to the bottom, that even the people, your potential business partners that you are working with, they no longer want to work with you because you are increasingly becoming known as a company that never pays on time, a company that never honors its obligations. At the end of the day, no one is going to know this entire thing. They're going to pin you out. They're like, man, this stuff doesn't work, stuff doesn't make sense. But the reality is you simply have cash flow problems, and the reason why your cash flow problems are there is that you are not collecting what is due to you. You don't have the confidence of having the difficult conversations in regards to the people that literally supposed to be making a payment to you so that you make a payment to others. So the other very, very important conversation you should have is a conversation on the state of your cash flows. The other guiding question to consider is, do we have systems in place to forecast cash flow? When it comes to financial forecasting, it is a practice that so many small business owners don't make. So many SMEs are not making. They have not a simple understanding of, they can't forecast and know that for the next 3 years, this is what we have, or for the next 1 year, or for the next 6 months. They are living one day at a time. Along the way, you begin to see impulsive purchases, impulsive extensions, impulsive expansions, impulsive trying out of new markets without consulting with the budget, without consulting with the financial bag. And as a result, you literally have the money, but you are simply making impromptu purchases that could actually wait till another year. You're buying things that are supposed to be rented. You're spending on things that you shouldn't be spending on now. So this is a very, very, very critical question, Do we have systems in place that forecast the cash flow? Are you in position to predict where you are most likely going to be standing in terms of cash in the next 6 months? Do you have a budget? You cannot comfortably enjoy the ride of doing business in the corporate space without understanding, without having a proper understanding of what your cash flows are, how your cash flows are standing, you know? The other guiding question is, are we carrying too much debt or credit obligations? Now, this is another thing. You might be struggling financially at the moment and you think it is actually normal. It is very important for you to step up and ask yourself a question. Are we carrying too much debt or credit obligations? Because sometimes companies end up getting in debt without thorough thought, without thorough thinking about the implications it's going to have on them in the next 1 year. One of the greatest lessons that I learned over the years is that debt is literally not bad. It's only bad when it's invested in an activity that is not going to bring income. So definitely, there is no problem with debt, but the problem is in what you are going to invest in with the debt that you're collecting. But the mistake that so many companies do is that the desire to achieve, the desire to succeed blinds, and this unusual and unnecessary optimism, you know, that someone gets in debt and at the end of the day they are getting a financial obligation that is going to hold them hostage for literally the entire year. So one of the critical conversations you should be having is the state of your cash flows, trying to understand whether you are carrying too much debt, like you're supposed to be, you know, clearing debt, or you're paying so many people, you know. And the last guiding question that I want to share with you is, do we experience seasonal cash flow issues? You check yourself. Do you experience seasonal cash flow issues? When we talk about the seasonal cash flow issues, the greatest example that I can actually cite out would be companies that thrive in seasons. I'm talking about, for example, in the hospitality, tour operators, and people that basically have peak periods and down periods. So in peak periods, they make all the money. And in down seasons, there is literally no money, but the financial obligation is there. It does not mean that when you go broke, you reduce your obligations. I mean, you reduce all the things that require money. Sometimes, all it takes is you to understand that we experience seasonal cash flow issues because probably some of our products are seasonal. Some of our products, they are seasonal. So if you understand that you basically, your services and products are seasonal, you just have to get that mindset very well. You know, you just have to cultivate a mindset of understanding that when the season comes, maximize the season to the highest and then save for a rainy day. We're still in a series of highlighting the critical questions that every business owner should actually, I mean, the critical conversations every business owner should actually be asking themselves, whether in your moment of introspection, your moment of reflection. The other guiding question that I want to share would be, like, how well do you manage receivables? So sometimes the reason why you might end up in a place where you are limping in your cash flows, it is not because you need more business. Sometimes it is a thing of management. It's a thing of managing resources. And truthfully speaking, like, management is another ball game altogether. Management is literally another thing altogether. If you do not sharpen your understanding and know that you need to outsource the service, you need to get someone deliberately to manage your resources, or if you don't have the ability to do that, if you do not grow in that area, that could be the reason why you're limping in terms of your cash flows. So as you are thinking about the state of your cash flows, the key question to ask is, how well do we manage receivables and collections? The other guiding question would be, are we overly dependent on one or two income sources? The reason why so many companies are having more than one product is that is the art of survival. The art of survival in business is to figure out the different product lines that will bring money to your business. Sometimes, depending on the industry, you can niche down to one, but there is a big risk in that. So the key question is, are we overly dependent on one or two income sources? Again, this is a conversation you need to have. Take note of the answers. Take note of whatever comes to your thought and ask yourself, is it possible to expand your income streams? Can you create a little more in terms of your income streams? And then the last one the last guiding question I want to throw here is, what emergency cash reserves do we have? There is a challenge that we end up in. There is a rat race we end up in, that we have to make the money, spend it, make the money, spend it. But you need to be in position to make and build a reserve for a rainy day, because if it wasn't the case, we probably all could have closed during the season of COVID-19, and we actually saw it. That the companies that had no reserves, the companies that had no continuity structures, the companies that had not prepared well, most of them closed, because whereas a business will reward you, but a business requires cash, requires money that keeps you sustained. So on a rainy day, in a bad season, in a pandemic, what do you do? So again, still continuing in a series on the key questions that you should be asking yourself as a business owner, as a manager, as someone critical to the running of the business. If you like this entire piece of content, if you like this kind of content, my encouragement is that you pick the flesh and throw away the bones. I hope some of these things you find them helpful.
Thank you for joining us on another day of Growth with Moses. If you would like access to more episodes, please subscribe to this channel. And if you enjoyed this episode, help us share and spread word about it. Till next time, we meet again on another day of Growth with Moses.